Welcome to Roosevelt Live. Today's topic, we're going to talk about Tyler Perry appearing on the Oprah Winfrey Show and discussing things that happened to him, the abuse that he suffered when he was a child, and how it affects his life today, obviously. According to the show, he says that he was molested and sexually abused on different occasions by male and female. I mean, he went into details on how he was abused and by a pastor at the local church, a person at the hospital, a neighbor, a female, family members. I mean, he went into details about being beaten by his father, allegedly beaten pretty severely from time to time. And these things, I'm bringing up this issue because obviously this man suffered some great tragedies when he was growing up, but he was able to persevere. And that should give hope to all the people out there that has gone through the things that he's gone through and been able to be successful, from living in his vehicle to obviously making multi-millions of dollars. Now that doesn't change. The money cannot change the way you feel about things that happened to you as a kid, because anybody that abused a child, sexually abuse or rape a child, as he called it, is an animal and don't deserve to be walking upright on the face of this earth, because those are emotional scars and physical scars that people are going to have the rest of their lives, and it prevents him from having probably a productive relationship, as he would talk about the 5 relationships he had in his lifetime and how they pretty much ended it due to things that he couldn't overcome, apparently, with some of the things that took place. I don't want to be graphic because I know this is a show where in the evening time it airs, and I do know that little kids do watch from time to time, so I don't want to go into great detail. So if I'm being vague, it's on purpose, because some of the details he went into is not fit for to be said on a show of this nature where there's other people watching in the evening times. But just the fact that he was willing to go out on the Oprah Winfrey Show and talk about this kind of stuff when he didn't have to. I mean, it could have been between him and his psychologist or psychiatrist, but he felt the need to let the whole world know. And sometimes if you listen to, or you ever been to his plays, I've been to a couple of the plays, and he's very entertaining, and he's an extremely funny and knowledgeable person. And I often used to wonder some of the things he talked about, some of the advice he gave people. I used to think to myself, before I even heard the story, I assumed something had gone on in his life because of some of the stuff that he would allude to doing his shows. He have a thing about stopping in the middle of a show and kind of giving some advice to people. Now, it could be a part of the act, maybe it isn't, but at each one of the shows I've gone to, he's always stopped in the middle of the show and talked about things that were very important in life, and things that wasn't necessarily funny but was actually informative. So I now can see more why he was talking about stuff that he did. I understand that the character that he plays in the show a lot of times, with the lady Medea carrying a gun in her purse, etc., that when I understand from the last time, or one of the times that his father physically abused him, that his aunt, came around there with gun in purse and pretty much, hey, don't go there, kind of thing, like most people would do to protect their family members. So that's not funny, but I mean, imagine if you're being abused as a child. I mean, it's a difference between, some people don't believe in any punishment at all. It's a difference between spanking your children and beating your kids. I believe there's a vast difference. Some people seem to think any type of corporal punishment is abuse, but I don't agree with that. Obviously, I received whoopings when I was a kid growing up, and I can tell you right now, I'm not a violent person. I ain't going to jail. I don't have any mental issues or anything like that, and I don't think that it affects people. It's what you're doing to a person that's going to affect them, not necessarily how it's being done, because there's structure and everything, but not in molesting children, obviously. These people, I don't know if they got away with it. I don't know if he reported it to someone and they may have gotten arrested. Those questions I don't think was asked, and I don't think he volunteered that information that I know of. But I can say that him coming from where he was in his life, and I know his mother recently passed away, I think earlier this year or late last year, I'm not sure exactly when, it was someone within the year, that he was been able to still persevere. I know he does a lot of stuff in the Atlanta area and things of that nature. And even his father, after all that abuse, I understand that he bought his father a house there. And somehow you have that love-hate, I think, with people. I don't know what prompted a man to physically beat his son up with his fist. I don't know what would make a man physically beat up his wife or whomever else he was beating up. obviously that person's got a mental problem. If you're beating your kids with your fist, beating them till they bleed, things of that nature, that's just sad. But it does give hope to people out there, at least I believe it does, people out there that have gone through some of this abuse and haven't been able to overcome it. I mean, some people wind up on drugs and wind up being alcoholics, and they wind up going in and out of jail, and they just can't cope with how they feel about themselves after being abused. When you're abused as a child, as a little child growing up, where you're not sure sexually where you're at in life. I mean, you're 5, you're 4, you're 3, you're 6, you're 8. I mean, it's not like you in a meaningful relationship with somebody. So if someone starts abusing you at that age, it's going to play a major role in how you see relationships. Or you can maybe have a productive relationship with a female if you're a male, or you can maybe have a productive relationship with a male if you're a female. It's going to confuse the children, because anything I think you encounter as a child, it definitely affects you as you move forward in your life. I hear people say, why don't he just get over it? Yeah, it's not somebody stole your bicycle or something. It's not the case that you made an F on a term paper. This is something that actually has physically, emotionally, and mentally affected him. And I don't know if he'll ever be able to get over it. And I don't know how much therapy in the world is going to make him get over the pain that he seems to suffer emotionally. And I assume it's always there. I'm not talking to the man directly, but can only assume that something that dramatic. I mean, he was getting it from every end. His father was abusing him. I understand his mother was being abused. Then he was being raped and molested by men and by women. I mean, the guy had it really bad, and through all that, he was able to somehow get himself to the position he's in today. Now, I know he has a lot of money. Money does not buy happiness. I know people that's out there that's broke might think that money buys happiness, but it doesn't buy happiness. As a matter of fact, I think the more money you get, the more problems you have sometimes. I know there's an old song out there, more money, more problems. I'm not trying to make light of the situation, but I do believe the more money you have, the more problems. Because people, then they start to sue you. Everybody pretend to be your friend. Everybody's got an axe to grind. Everybody's got an underhanded, ulterior motive for hanging around you. And I do know that money does create major problems in your life. Everybody want to borrow something. I mean, it's just an ongoing, everybody's your best friend.